Hi, I'm Deb, and you're listening to Main Pod Girl.
Hey, welcome to Main Pod Girl, a podcast made by Popheads for Popheads. Every episode, we'll be diving into all kinds of pop culture topics with some of our favorite artists and music commentators. I'm your host, AJ Marks, and today's special guest is one of my most streamed artists of all time, with a legendary #1 hit and several worldwide top 10s under her belt. She's opened up for Usher, collaborated with everyone from Timbaland to Demi Lovato, and hosts a radio show on Apple Music. She's here, she's queer, and she's feeling so fly like a G6. Give it up for my girl, Dev.
That's amazing. That was so good. I loved it. That's awesome.
Let's start off with an icebreaker. What are you listening to right now?
What did I listen to this morning? I was listening to the Gene Dawson SZA record. I was listening to the new Omar Apollo project.
Yes. Okay.
I was in a cool little weird vibey mood this morning. I've kind of been into the Kim Petra stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I was a little bit all over the place this morning.
I love that, actually, that you said Kim Petras. I could totally see that between you guys.
I love her.
I'm obsessed with the new Slayyyter album.
Yes.
She was just on the show, and then she invited me to her concert, and I was like, what? She's great. Yeah.
She's killing it right now. And I love, I feel like the last 10 people that I've talked to randomly are listening to the Slayyyter album. Did you listen to Slayyyter? So I just love that. I love that she's getting all the love that I feel like she deserves too, which is really cool.
Yeah. And it's her best record yet. She's only getting better. So it's
amazing.
Just awesome.
Yeah. I was with Rekno a couple weeks ago. I got to perform at Red Rocks at his Red Rocks performance, and the whole time in the car we were driving and everyone was listening to Slayyyter. That was the theme. Yeah, it was cute.
I have so much I want to go through with you today, from your oldest stuff to your newest stuff, but I'd be really interested in starting with your debut album back in 2011 or 2012, depending on which country you live in.
Totally.
Well, can you walk me through the experience of making such an incredible album and how you reflect on that experience now in hindsight?
It's so funny. It feels like a lifetime ago, and it also doesn't feel like a lifetime ago, which is so weird. I remember when I was making that album thinking, where am I going to be when it hits the 10-year anniversary, or how am I going to feel? Where am I going to be mentally? Are these songs going to be something that I still love to sing? Am I going to be ooh, cringe? I just remember in the process, thinking, I was really kind of new-ish in my music career when I met the Cataracts. We really started working on that album. I was still going to junior college, and I had a MacBook, and I was writing songs on there and putting them up on, not to age myself, but putting them up on MySpace. And I met the Cataracts in 2008, I think, on MySpace. And then long story short, we end up kind of working together. One of the songs that we make together ends up getting a lot of love. So we're oh, there's something special here. And then a year later or something, we moved to LA together. And in LA is when we really started I think that's when we made Fireball together, and we made,
I love that song.
So fun. And we made Booty Bounce together. And it was kind of the beginning of this really cool era for us where we were just in the zone. We were just in a really cool pocket, We were working a lot with our friends from the Bay, the Pack, the rap group, the Pack. And so we were all just writing and working and trying to I don't know, just make cool shit, And I think that I didn't realize when we were all in that zone, you're in it, you're in the eye of the storm, when it's happening. So you don't really see it from the outside of oh, this is going to be such an epic thing that I'll still love in 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. You're just oh, this song feels fun and it feels true to me. And I think maybe that's why it's still so special. Me and the Cataracts were never trying to be other people. It was such a fun and crazy and weird time. We built a studio in our apartment, and that's where we would cut most of the vocals. And then we ended up kind of making a little bit of decent money. So then we like got another studio space downtown and we recorded some of the album there. That time, right? It was like post recession. It was people looking and searching for like a fun escape. And I just think that the club culture at that time just hit a really important moment and also like a mainstream moment. And we happened to be in the middle of it. You know, I'm so grateful for it too. Like, it's funny. My daughter came home from school the other day and she was like, my friends were playing the night the sun came up at school.
Love that.
I was like, that's so fucking weird and so cool. And just like, it's cool that people like even their age, you know, she's 11, they're 11 and 12 years old and like can still find something to connect to with that album. I think is just special, you know?
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you bring that up. One thing that really stuck with me as a teenager listening to this album, because I think I was like 13, 14 when it came out, was seeing a major pop star use like same-sex pronouns in their songs.
Oh, thank you.
I don't think I'd ever experienced that at all before your music. And I was just like, this is absolutely incredible.
I love that. Thank you. I remember that was like one thing too. I think that like coming from, you know, the Bay Area in Northern California, it was such like a cool, colorful, the weirder and different and unique and also just comfortable in your own skin that you were, it was like celebrated. So I remember like when we wrote Take Her From You specifically, the boys, I think Niles started the first idea for it. And I was like, oh, this is such a cool idea. And I definitely want it to be about like me singing about a girl. Like I specifically remember being like, it felt so true to who I was. So I didn't think that it was like a different weird thing, but seeing the reaction that I got after like was really special. So that means a lot to me to like hear you say that.
Totally.
Because I specifically remember being like, oh, no. Like we're not changing anything to be speaking to a boy just because I'm a girl in pop music. I remember the boys being like, oh, that's hella cool that like you would want to do that. And they were so like accepting obviously of like that. And then flipping it for the video about, it could almost be like me talking to myself, which is like a really cool angle to look at it too. Mm-hmm. So I just think that, yeah, that means a lot to me to hear you say that for sure.
Take Her From You and Top of the World, two of my favorite songs of yours, they're not on streaming anymore, or at least not on my Spotify.
It's so weird. I know. I need to like yell at somebody about that because someone asked me about that the other day. I know. I do. I will. I'll figure that out.
Okay, sweet.
And it takes time too. So it's just like, that's a whole thing. And
you can notice problem and it like takes a month for it to get resolved.
Yeah.
It's obnoxious. I know. Are there any songs that you like, because you were touching on this earlier, are there any songs that you like kind of don't stand by anymore? Any songs that you're like, that is cringe?
Wait. I feel like this happened recently. I mean, I had this song called Parade that I put out. And I remember like when I made it being like, oh my God, this could be a really fun thing for me, like to perform at Pride shows or what, you know, I literally perform at so many and I'm so grateful to like have those experiences. They literally make my life. It's the funnest fucking thing ever. I hope I can perform at Pride's time like 80.
I need to go to a Pride that you're performing at.
Like literally my favorite thing. Like if someone was like, all you can do for the rest of your life is perform at Pride, they'd be like, fuck yes, sign me up.
Sweet.
So I remember when I made Parade thinking like, oh, that could be fun. For that, I wish I would have taken more time to write that better so that it was more for that, not just like, oh, it's called it's called Parade and you could perform it at a parade, and instead of made the lyrics more like for the community. I do remember after that thinking like, damn, not this would be fun to fit into this show, but instead I should have probably made that song really about the community. I do. That's like one thing that kind of bugs me. So I don't really perform it, which is funny.
I mean, it makes sense with a name like that. And I could totally see that being like a great thing. But also, I don't know. I feel like some people, they have a song called Rainbow or something vaguely gay. And then people will be like, that's a pride anthem based on the title alone. And it doesn't really matter about the lyrics. So I feel like
that's true.
I feel like I'm actually subtweeting someone here, but I can't think of, Casey Musgraves, maybe she has a song called Rainbow.
Oh yeah. She does have the song called Rainbow. I actually really like that song. That's true.
I mean, not just her, like everyone.
Yeah. Cause I remember in the song, I specifically just say, I think it's like the girls say hi and the boys say, hey. That always kind of bothered me But I'm like, I don't know why. In the moment, I was just, it's kind of like I was more taking it as like not so literal. It was kind of like a chanty thing. And then I remember after releasing it being like, why the fuck did I do that? Like, that's so stupid. Like, I should have made it so that like more people could chant if they wanted to. Like, why would I make it so specific? I don't know, but whatever.
You have really iconic lines to me personally, but also to pop culture at large. Like the main one being "Now I'm feeling so fly like a G6." I don't think many people know that that's a sample from Booty Bounce, but I remember just when I heard it, I was like, wait, someone remixed this?
That's cool that you know that.
Did you re-record anything for like a G6, or was it just a straight up sample?
No, it was a re-recording, and
oh wow,
it's funny.
It sounds so similar.
Okay, you want to know something even more weird? I recut bass down low vocals recently for basically like almost to use as like a remix cover for this like separate idea I had, and literally in like one take, and it was the exact same. I think it's just because it's like when it's yours and you sing something so much. At that point I had performed Booty Bounce. I had lived with Booty Bounce for a while. So it kind of like was a thing where it's like I can do it to the T, which is like pretty lucky. But it's really cool that you know that, because I feel like not a lot of people even like to this day know that that's from Booty Bounce.
Which is wild because I love Booty Bounce. It's one of your best.
Thank you.
Another iconic line of yours is it's the cataracts, which I like. As you can tell, I can't really do it, but my friends.
That was actually really good.
Thank you. All my friends like would try to actually get it right. Was it weird? I forget what song it was, but like hearing Selena Gomez try to replicate it.
Yes, I was in Target the other day actually, and I was like, I don't even know. I was like in like the food aisle, and I heard her do it. And it was so funny. I was like reminded again of like that time. But yes, I remember thinking it was super cute that she did that. And I thought she says that she can't do it, but I thought she did it pretty good.
Yeah, no, she did it pretty well. Yeah. She does it at the beginning, but then I think one of the songs, it's like the outro where she's like, it's the cataract, and it's so cute. I'm like, wow, I love that. It's just everyone wanted to be able to do that, you know?
When I did that too, it was like, I think super late at night. It might have been like early in the morning, and Niles like knocked on my door because we all lived together in the same apartment, and he's like, can you come record this drop for me really quick? And I'm like, it's like hella late. I was like, okay, of course. And so I went in. So my voice, like, to me, it always sounds hella funny on that part specifically, because I feel like I sound like I just smoked a pack of cigs and woke up at like 1 a.m. and like laid that drop. But it sounds cute, and now it's like an iconic cute thing. But I feel like I sound fucking crazy.
Was the drop for Lightspeed? Was that what the song? Because I'm trying to think of where it goes in right before the drop.
They kind of, he ended up using that just like as their like watermark essentially, you know, for all of their stuff. But it's in like, I think it's in Bass Down Low. I think it's in G6. Is it in it's in Lightspeed? Oh yeah, it's in Lightspeed after the cough.
The cataracts, and then you do the cough.
Yeah.
So you and the cataracts, David and Niles, you worked on so much music together back at the time. You lived together, and now you all have your own projects.
We do.
Terror Jr., Cashmere. I like didn't even notice it until I was thinking about it today, and I was like, damn, like that's so wild.
It's crazy.
So do you still keep in touch with him at all?
Sometimes I do. I text David a couple weeks ago. I had him give me advice on this like record that I'm working on. He's still one of like my favorite writers.
I love that.
Ever that I've worked with. I talk to Niall sometimes too, but it's like via text, because he'll always be in like random other countries and stuff. He tours so much, which is awesome. But it is funny. It's funny to see that like all of our little like things that were kind of niche about us are like what each other's doing. Like Niall's really heavy and like that his world of music, and then like David with the Terror Jr. stuff. It's cool. I love it. And they both seem like they're really happy and doing really well. So it's cool. I'm always going to like want them to win and be happy for them. And I'm so grateful for like everything we did together. So it's definitely all love, which is good.
That's good.
It's funny. We all live like super close, which is hilarious. Like after we moved, everyone was like, we're leaving this apartment. We're moving on. And then like now as adults, we all live like super close in vicinity to each other. Like we're so stupid.
It's like Riverdale or like one of those like those shows where they all went to high school together, but they're all like still in the same town.
Totally. I was like, oh my gosh. But I am, yeah, no, it's definitely all love between us, which is good.
I love that. Yeah, I was messaging David a little bit last year, and I was like just telling him, I was telling him basically the same stuff I'm telling you, where I was like very, very formative in like my own, music experience. And I think a big part of that was the versatility that you had, like the versatility of like going from a song like Lightspeed to a song like Take Her From You to a song like Number One to a song like Mommy Poppy. You know what I mean? Just like so many different kind of modes, but it's all so uniquely you know what I mean? Like it's so uniquely tied back to one, like it's very clear that it's still one artist, No,
thank you. I appreciate that. Sometimes I feel like for me personally, from like a creative place, sometimes I feel like I struggle with that, but it's almost like a gift and a curse, where it's like, I feel like I want to do so many different sounds. And as long as I'm staying true to myself, whether it's like melodically or, lyrically, it'll sound like me. But sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, it's kind of, I get overwhelmed, because I'm like, do I want to do what mood are you in today? I'm like, I don't know what mood I'm in.
That's how I imagine it feels to be Miley Cyrus, who changes sound completely every year.
100%, which she does so well. And it's awesome. But thank you for saying that. That like means a lot to me. Cause I definitely I have fun doing like straight club, like booty records. And I also have fun, making songs like Shadows or like Summer that I just put out, or you know what I mean? So that means a lot to me hearing you say that.
Of course. Yeah, no, I feel like growing up, I mean, and I should have, it should have clicked with me sooner, right? But growing up, it's like all my faves were bisexual women with like a million different genres, like Sia and you and Fergie and Neon Hitch and Kesha and, just literally like it's so weird that they all fit that exact description. And I'm like, okay, it's getting a little weird now. Like I have a type, clearly.
I have a type. That's amazing. God, that is true.
A musical type. Yeah.
A musical type. I love it.
But coming out of that initial debut era and that record deal, and then you changed pace and you started dropping a bunch of EPs and like one-off singles. I felt like it really kept up with the changing tide in pop music, like the minimalistic, whatever, but also flex like even more of your versatility. What about that period of time was most important to you to accomplish in like a musical sense?
I think post The Night the Sun Came Up, so like going into like the Bittersweet July eras, I was in like this really funny zone where I was just like in a whole other wavelength. I was performing with a live band for a while. I linked back up with some of my friends and producers from San Francisco, from the Bay, that made a lot of more like indie alternative kind of stuff, but still like in like the club era. I really just didn't want to feel like everything that I had to do or be a part of had to be like an epic pop moment.
Yeah.
I kind of was like, wanted to be on some just like grimy club girl. Like I wanted to go do all the small, like I did a full club run of like all these kind of like small clubs and had like full setups and bands and stuff there. I didn't want to like care about it feeling so polished and delivered,
Yeah.
I just wanted to be like free and on some club shit and not feel pressured for it to be pop. I didn't want to feel bad if it leaned to dance or leaned to, you know what I mean? I kind of was like, let me just have fun with this and see what it is. And I wanted to make records that I knew were going to feel fun to perform. And a lot of those I still perform to this day, which is funny.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of draws a parallel. I'm so glad you brought up not wanting to be in the everything has to be an epic pop girl moment thing, because I feel like a lot of that parallels Doja right now. I see things, especially on Popheads, where everyone's like, how can she like recover from this? How can she, and she's like the #1 song in the country right now, but people are like, how can she recover from this? Like, oh, she'll have to be really good. She'll have to like, whip her PR into shape and release a bunch of like radio friendly songs. And I was like, I don't really think that's the point.
I don't either.
I think that like a lot of people who really, really like pop music specifically that's in the charts don't realize that like it's not everyone wants to have that all the time. Like it's nice to get a little bit of taste, especially if it was around the time that you were in the charts all the time. Like I feel like that lasts so long because that was like the end of the monoculture. So you get to just ride that forever.
Totally.
Because no music will ever be as concentrated as it was in that time, or at least not after that time.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you know, it's like the last ones to do it. So I feel like everyone who gets to that level or whatever, I just like, I feel like it's so much pressure.
I think it is. No, I think it is too. That's funny. I just like had a conversation with one of my friends about all the Doja stuff because I literally feel her so much. I mean, obviously we're completely different artists and she's she's Doja Cat. She's like legendary, but I do feel her. And I'm so grateful for everything that I got to experience at the levels that I've gotten to experience them. Like I never want to take away from that. But I do remember feeling like I started all this and was liked because I wasn't like this cookie cutter girl. And I wasn't this perfect looking or perfect sounding like pop girl. I thought that's what got me here in the first place. Like I remember feeling this way and then being like, oh, now there's like so much pressure for me to like look and sound a certain way where I'm like, obviously grateful for those responsibilities because that just means that things are growing. But at the same time, you're like, I don't want to have to like take away or change who I am in order to keep this like pop thing going for who then?
Exactly.
What am I doing this for then? So then how does that feed back into like me wanting to continue? It gets in this like really weird space. And I like when Doja Cat started like the stuff like with her hair, it's like simple things like that. But I hella felt her on that. I was like so stoked when she shaved her head. I was like, go girl.
Same.
Like get it, like wave your freak flag. Also music is so subjective. So it just takes like one pop song again, which she could do with her eyes closed.
Yep.
And everyone's like, always loved Doja, always loved her.
Exactly.
You know, and it'll be right back. Yeah.
People say like, oh, what does it take to cancel this person? Oh, she's immune to cancellation, this one. And I'm like, it just, cancellation isn't real in music. I feel like it's just when the hits stop coming, then you can actually get canceled.
Yeah, 100%. And it's all fun to talk about. Like the Doja stuff is like really fun to talk about. But like it's like she's a human. And so these artists are human at the end of the day. And with that comes peaks and valleys, ebbs and flows, flaws, imperfections. But like, that's what makes you an artist.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like
that's all the fun
that's
stuff.
Exactly like, that's the fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like a punk girl at heart. She's like a little gritty, she's like a gritty bitch at heart. And like, also let's not forget Doja came out the gate with the Moo song.
Yeah.
She's been trolling all of us this whole fucking time.
Exactly. To the point where like, Say So, was that a troll? Like, you have to think about it at some point.
And it's like, it's funny too, because she's an insane writer and she's like, to me, one of my favorite artists, producers, writers. She can do it all.
Yeah, that parallel, I guess, really strikes a chord, especially right now. For
sure. And I think that like, as creative people, like we're really lucky when we can find other outlets that like serve us and still give us inspiration and still keep us like involved in the spaces that we love. I also work at Apple Music, so I host a show there.
I was going to say, I didn't even know this until today when I was doing my last bits of research. I was like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I'd love to listen in.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely like let you know when my shows are and stuff. I've been there for 8 years now.
Wow.
When I first got hired there, I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, never ran boards, never like wrote breaks or like I had no idea. So I learned a lot and they definitely like nurtured me and gave me like a lot of cool space and help and really taught me everything. But yeah, I've been there for like 8 years. I was working on my show this morning, but I'm so grateful for that because it's like, I'm still really heavily involved. Like on days where maybe I'm not recording or, I don't have a show or something. It's like, I still have my Apple show and I work on that and can see, oh, this up and coming artist or this artist is doing that. It's like I research all that all the time for my show. So it's like, I'm really grateful. It still gives me that like vibe without it always kind of being about me or like the pressures of me, even though sometimes it's just me putting my own pressure on myself. but that is nice for me.
So we were talking earlier about how you were kind of, at least to me, to sing with same-sex pronouns, spearheading things like that, at least within my field of vision, kind of ahead of the curve with things like that in pop music, but then also ahead of the curve in pop music in terms of like releasing music independently, because I don't think it was that commonplace. I mean, you had like Macklemore, but other than that, like who else was really doing that in like 2014?
Thank you. I never really thought about it like that, but thank you.
That must have taken a lot of bravery. Like I know a lot of people say to queer people, they're like, oh, you're so brave, when they're like doing nothing. Like they're just standing there drinking on coffee. But like actually releasing music independently after like being, no pun intended, on top of the world, like I would have been scared shitless.
I know. It's so funny because I wasn't, which is weird because when you say it like that, I'm like, yeah, that sounds terrifying. I think, being at Republic was amazing. I loved being at Republic. I had like a really great experience there.
Slay.
So me and the Cataracts were with a management company called Indie Pop for years. So even when we were at Republic, we still functioned as our team independently. We just had like more funds and more visibility, you know what I mean? And tools and other people and resources. But like, we still kind of worked just with us and my 3 managers that I had, and those who I talked to every day, even when I was at Republic. So when I ended up parting ways with Indie Pop, I stayed at Republic for a little bit without them and was recording a bunch, and it was fine. Like we had a good relationship. And then it kind of got to a point where I was like, oh, what I'm recording, like we both knew, we're like, this music, like it's not clicking. The sessions that I was doing with them, separate from being with the Cataracts and with Indie Pop, I was like, ooh, like I got in with everyone from Hit Boy to DJ Mustard to like everyone. It just wasn't clicking, which I had super fun sessions with all of them. But it was just like something fell off. So we kind of was like literally super like PC when we left, when me and Republic like parted ways. I was like I'll never forget, I was like on the phone with them and I was like, yeah, I kind of feel it too. They're like, yeah. And we're like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. I was very fortunate in that because there's like horror stories, and who I was being managed by / kind of working a lot with at that point was my friend who used to work in music, and she did like promotions forever. She worked at Republic for a little bit. So I kind of felt like I was still with a label person, even though I was doing stuff independently. And then what was fun for me is I think because I was in the zone of like really just wanting to release this kind of like go back to the clubs, go back to like where I started, which was like, all the spots in the Bay. And I kind of just went back to this like small venue club circuit. I think because I was in that zone, like sonically, that it made the rest of it seem like it just fit. Like, I'm just going to release the music. I was just in this like very like, fuck it, I'm just going to do some indie shit mode, So it's like, I don't know. I wasn't really that intimidated by it, which is like really weird. And then it was cool. I ended up finding like another team that I did distribution with that was like super supportive and would help with everything from like touring to all that stuff. So I kind of essentially felt still like I had that team, almost like what I started with, like with Indie Pop, if that makes sense. So I never felt like I was just like floating out to sea alone, essentially, No,
that's good. You had that like invisible safety net that you felt and you could see.
Totally. Yeah.
But I guess from my perspective, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I guess some people might look at it and be like, what? She could have made that like super clean, squeaky clean pop record or whatever next, and then like had a huge hit. But I look at it as like, oh my God, that's like so inspiring.
Thank you. It was definitely very like liberating and fun and a wild time. Like putting out Bittersweet July Part 1 and Part 2 was like definitely a wild time. But yeah, it was fun. I feel like I just needed to do it. I needed to just like get that out into the world, that phase, that era.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next era real quick. Next in the timeline, we have your second album, I Only See You When I'm Dreaming. What signaled to you? What was like the moment where you were like, I'm going to go back into album mode?
That came together more organically. Like I had a team and this like group of people that I was working with a bunch at that time that was a little bit more, I think, consistent, that they were who I was recording with a lot and writing with a lot. So I think that it kind of fell together. We're like, oh, here's 3 songs here. Here's 1 song here. here's two more. I'm like, oh, well, this kind of sounds and feels a little bit like a project. And I did originally just was like, oh, maybe I'll do another EP. So it's not so much pressure and I can kind of still tour and it's only like a few songs and I can tell a story without it feeling like it has to be a full project. But then it kind of just like organically felt like a project. And I was like, I can't really see these songs living anywhere else but together. Yeah. So to me, I was just like, fuck it. Let me just put out this fucking project and like run it up. And that's just kind of like what I did. Was also in another fuck it song.
The way you're describing it makes it feel like more honestly kind of like a mixtape.
Oh, that's funny.
Like it's like this is all a vibe.
Yeah, because I was like I had like 3 different groups of like writers and producers that I kind of was like going back and forth with in and out of the studio with that are all very different artists and different producers and stuff, like stylistically and sonically. So to me, when the songs kind of all came together and did sound more cohesive, I was working a lot with my friend Isaac and my friend Marco Penn. He's on some of the songs on that project. And we spent a lot of time, actually the majority of the time in the studio kind of just talking, like telling stories about like our personal lives and like struggles that we've been through or really fun stuff we've got to experience and celebrate. And what makes things successful and what doesn't, and what does that mean? And so we would spend like hours just like talking before we'd even like get to working on songs.
I love when that happens.
Yeah, it's so fun. And like that makes songs feel special. Like even if no one else connected to the song, I'm like, those songs feel special to me, like because of those sessions,
Yeah.
And so I was just like, it's a project. Like, let's go.
Yeah. You know what's funny? So I'm making this album right now that I actually just took 10 months off of, but I texted my producer like 2 days ago or something. And I was like, let's do a session tomorrow. Like,
yes.
But yeah, I was like, I keep listening to these songs. I'm like, this is so good. I think I just want to make it for me. Like I might even never release it, but like, I would just love to like have it out there to just know that I've had it out there,
100%. And I feel like for creative people, it's so important to like, we have to like feed, not to be hella corny or anything, but it's like, we have to like feed our souls too. You know what I mean?
Totally. Any artist that says they're doing this for their fans, I'm like, that might be true, but you're doing it for yourself first and foremost. Like that's so important.
Totally. Yeah. Cause it's like, it just started with like you, like me, when I think about it, I'm like, I was just like by myself, like in my closet, like on my math book, like making songs. I never even thought about, oh, maybe this one person will hear this. It wasn't until I had people connecting to my music. Obviously, that's like such an amazing thing to get to experience. And so when that does happen, you do become a little bit more conscious of, oh, well, when I release this, what if so-and-so hears it? Or if I release this? Yeah. Then it's like, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's like, it's so important for us to also just be in like, fuck it mode and be like, I need to put this out. You know what I mean? Like I have to release this from my body and like put it out into the world, even if it's just for me,
Yeah. This still stands as your most recent album. What have you found are the benefits of releasing a bunch of singles in the past few years instead of concentrating all the releases into an album?
The past few years, I recently met a producer, an artist. I met him a year ago. I guess it's not that recent. But we've been working together. It's fairly new relationship. I like love meeting producers and stuff. It's like we're dating. Like it's a new relationship.
Actually, wait, that's such a fun way to think about it.
It's so funny. Like I can't. That's literally like what it feels like. You have to like get to know each other. I'm like, do I want him to know I'm crazy or do I not want him to know I'm crazy yet? Like,
is it going to come out in music anyway? Like,
yeah, totally. I'm like, how like do I just like baby step this? It's like dating. But yeah, I recently got close to this producer named Calais. He's from the Bay, works with like a lot of other awesome artists. And I think we've kind of been in the studio now for almost a year and a half. And we get in every week, like at least like we'll do like once a week. And so it's kind of been us getting just like really comfortable with each other and just trying out new things and new sounds and kind of creating this relationship that we can just, now it gets to a point where we get in the studio and it's like, oh, just go in there and make melody sounds, or, oh, just, I had this one idea on my way, we're like super comfortable with each other, which is awesome. But he's who I did like Mommy Poppy with and Nico Mayo with. So I think for us, it's kind of just been when a song feels right, like we'll release it and like catch a vibe. And then eventually I would like love to do a project with him. I think that would be really fun, but I think we're just like feeling it out. You know, we just started, the relationship is new. We just started dating.
Yeah. The Calais songs, like, I don't think you've ever sounded better. Like, I feel like it feels almost like full circle too. Like, it kind of,
yeah.
I want to say return to form, but like, I also feel like that like implies quality level or whatever, but it's just a return to form in terms of like the form that you had before, you know what I mean? Like, you've just like done, you've gone through a bunch of different lives and you have your identity locked in now. Like, it reminds me of your debut. It reminds me of Bittersweet July. Like, it reminds me of like Only When I'm Dreaming. Like, and then there's this new level, this new layer of Spanglish and tapping into your Mexican heritage. So it feels like you're like firing on all cylinders, and it's like, okay, this is like the fully formed Dev. Like, you got little bits and pieces of her, and then like this is like it all together kind of thing.
Thank you. That means so much to me. I feel like this is probably the most, which is going to be hilarious because I'm definitely crazy, but the most I've kind of let go, I think, in the recording process. I feel like before, you know, coming off of working at such a different level or being, you know, with Republic, it definitely caused me to be a little like neurotic about certain things. And I think this past year, I've kind of just been like, I'm just going to like do what sounds fun and feels fun to me. And I don't even want to think. I just like want to feel. And I think that sometimes in my past projects, there was thinking involved. You know, it was like, I know I want it to be this club stuff and I want it to be this underground, or I know that because I've been working with these people, this should be a project. You know, there was some like more of that happening, or it's like, there's nothing forced or there's nothing. Right now, it's like I'll see him on a Tuesday and be like, what's up? And then we'll just like randomly make this song, you know? And I think that, and also we're from similar places, and he's from the Bay. He grew up like he loved The Night the Sun Came Up. So there's like random things that feel like it's like I feel that he feels that part of me, you know, which I think is very special. And I haven't really like found that in work, which is like bad, but in other people that I've worked with. And I'm back working with one of my managers from indie pop. So I kind of still talk to all the indie pop boys, which is fucking hilarious. They drive me crazy. So that's been fun too, because it's like nice having these ears that are like, go be weird, but also this is like where you sound really cool, or this is what I love when you sound like, you know, and sometimes it's like nice to get that kind of feedback too.
It's funny because it's like in my head when I first heard these songs, I actually, for a second, I was like, is like David back in the picture?
That's
is Niles back in the picture? Like,
funny. There's like little parts to like me and Calais working together that remind me a lot of Niles and David in the sense of, and I hate to compare him. Calais is his own artist. He's like amazing. Even the stuff that he makes for himself that I don't even know if he's played anybody is so fucking good. But he kind of has this really cool open thing with me where he'll be like, well, I know that I'm like a straight dude, but still, and he'll like celebrate writing from a certain perspective, or he'll celebrate like being open, or he'll show me like, oh, I just found this artist. He's like very open. And the boys were like that. The Cataracts were like that with me a lot too, which is great. And there is that just like thing, like there's different like slang that he gets, I think being from the Bay, he's also Mexican. There's just kind of this like fun, free, like liberating thing, like working with him that isn't like, which I've had in other sessions, like, oh, well, you make rap songs, so let's make like a rap song. And I'm like, this isn't for me. Yeah. Like, I'm like, this is like a goddamn Iggy Azalea song. Like, it's a straight, like, I'm like, what is this? You know, I can't rap. I'm like, what is this? So it's like, or I've got in with people that are like, oh, you can like make pop records. Let's make this. And I'm like, this is like a Katy Perry song. Like this, I can't even sing that. Like, what do you want, you know? So I think like what's cool about like being in with Calais is that we don't even have to talk sometimes. It just kind of happens and we like click in a very natural way, which is cool. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Also, word on the street, you have a song with Michael Medrano coming out sometime, maybe?
Wait, do I? No. Where did you hear that from?
I can't remember if it was one of my friends or if it was from Michael himself.
Wait, really? Well, what happened? What
I
did Michael
responded
himself
to
say?
his Insta story of your show the other day, and I was like, I need the collab like yesterday. And he was like, oh my God, I'm DMing her right now. And I was like, oh wait, same.
Okay, well, we can just say like it hasn't happened yet, but basically it will happen, I think. I'm going to make sure that it happens.
I love him so much.
I love him too. And like what's really funny is that we just ran into each other the other night. We followed each other on Instagram for a minute now. And I was going to DM, this is like so weird. This is like no bullshit. I was going to DM him the other day and be like, could we write together? Because I just feel like we'd write a lot of really cool stuff. And then I didn't. And I was like, it's late. Like, I don't want to be all weird, just like sliding in DMs right now all late. Like, I'll just hit him like later. And then I kind of forgot about it. Ended up performing at a Halloween party that he was at. He came up to me and was like, would you want to work together? I feel like it'd be so fun. I was like, I was literally about to stalk you the other day. I'm so happy you came up to me. Like, I'm so happy you said hi. Basically, we were like DMing that we're going to get in the studio. So there's nothing like officially yet, but don't you feel like that'd be a pretty fire link up?
Absolutely.
Like, I feel like we would make some hot stuff. I don't want to like put pressure on it. That's why it's like, I don't want to be weird and put pressure on us, but I just feel like it would be sick. Like it would definitely be like a sexy, like hot record.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I feel like, which is cool. I mean, he's just like the kind of stuff that he's doing, like the way that he maneuvers around the whole like disco trend, but like has his own kind of like grimy take on it. It's just so great. I'm a huge fan of his. He's the best, and protect him at all costs. Yeah, we will protect him at all costs. No, I'm really excited about that. And I think it's like funny how it naturally happened. Like we ran into each other that night. So I was like, oh, it's meant to be. It's funny because I feel like people would hear my music and hear his music and not compare them. But there's something about his stuff that I'm like, ooh. It's the personality.
Like I feel I'm like, oh, I love that. I feel so much of that. I don't know. I just feel like we could write something really cool together. Totally. Hopefully we do. I think we will. Yeah.
I could hear him on one of your songs. I could hear you on one of his songs. So I can definitely imagine a collab. And so I have a game that we love to play on this podcast. It's called Who You Gonna Call? Okay. So I'm going to put you in 3 hypothetical scenarios where you're going to have to end up calling one of 3 people, one of your former collaborators to help you out.
I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
So scenario 1, you get stuck on the side of the road and you need someone to pick you up and take you home. 3 of your former producer collaborators are nearby and have offered to help out. Who are you going to call? Is it Timbaland, Travis Barker, or David Guetta?
Oh my God, I feel like I would call Travis Barker just because he has like hella cars. So I'm assuming he's like but I don't know. That is hilarious.
You're going to call Travis Barker and be like, take this car. I want this car specifically. This is the kind of vibe I want. Like,
and bring Court and let's hang out for sure.
Court. All right, sweet. Scenario 2, you decide to start a rap duo and 3 of your former rapper collaborators have hit you up to be in it. Who are you going to call? Is it Flo Rida, Snoop Dogg, or Krayshawn?
Oh, that's amazing. You know, I'm going to call Krayshawn. She'd probably say no, but I would call her.
No, she's like all of these people that they want to be a part of it. Like Snoop Dogg's like banging down on your door, like, Dev, please let me in.
I feel like that would be kind of hilarious and amazing if me and her just like picked up that would be so funny.
Totally.
And cool. Yeah. Say Krayshawn.
And then scenario 3, you've been accepted as a contestant on the next season of Celebrity Jeopardy, but it's in teams. Okay. So of your former singer collaborators, who are you going to call? Is it Demi Lovato, Enrique Iglesias, or Ray?
Oh, for sure. I'm going to call Ray.
Love that.
I love her. I'm such a fan of hers. It's like not even funny. But remember Demi Lovato, the one time when she's like, I like a mug. They're like, what's your favorite dish? She's like, I like a mug. Like just for that answer, I know her answers would be hilarious, but I'm going to probably pick Ray. Yeah.
Yeah. If you were on, wait, what would the team name be with you and Ray?
I don't even know. I feel like it should be something slutty. Maybe that's what it would be called. Something slutty.
All right. I have one more game for you. And this game is called Song Interrogation. And I promise it's not as scary as it sounds. Okay. So I scraped through your discography to find like song titles that would be fun, like little jumping off points for some silly rapid fire questions. You have a song called Drunk texting, when's the last time you sent an embarrassing drunk text and what did it say?
Anytime I drunk text now, it's just usually my friends because I've been in a relationship for a million fucking years. So it's never anything that cool. Oh, I drunk text Calais after the Halloween party. But I mean, I wasn't really that lit, but I was like definitely exhausted. It was like 2 a.m. He was in New York, so it was probably like 5 a.m. And it wasn't like drunk texting, but I was definitely buzz texting. And I texted him and was like, not you still being awake. And then he was like, well, we just got off the show. And I said, oh, Vamps, like Vamps, I love it, or something like Vamps. Like, I don't know why. He's probably like, bitch, stop fucking texting me. But I did hit him because I saw he like looked at one of my stories. And I was like, not you still being awake. Like, why would I bother? So why did I even bother him? I have no fucking idea.
That's hilarious. The last podcast I recorded for this show was with TK Maitza. And it was funny because she like was in bed. And it's like the first thing that she said when she like opened her phone was like, not me being in bed.
Not me being in bed. That's awesome.
All right. So you have a song called In My Trunk. What would you guess is probably in the trunk of your car right now?
In the trunk of my car right now is definitely like dumb shit. I think my fiance has like 2 skateboards back there because he skates. So there's always skateboards in the back of the goddamn car. It drives me crazy because it bangs around every single time you drive around. There's definitely skateboards back there. And then it's like my daughter treats the car like a locker room. There's like lipstick and belts and extra shoes and like all kinds of shit back there. Yeah, definitely trashy. But whatever.
So anything and everything except for your own stuff.
Except for my own stuff. But if they need like outfit changes or accessories or anything, back there.
Anyways, you have a song called Have It All. Mm-hmm. When are the moments when you feel like you really have it all?
Ooh, that's a good question. Either like when I'm with my whole families together because they're so fun, or like when it's just like a midday brunch happening and I'm like, I can't believe that my life affords me to be out here like on a Thursday or whatever at fucking 11 and I can just like
no 9
catch
to 5.
A vibe really quick. Yes.
Perfect.
Like that to me is when I'm like, oh, this is fucking cool. You know what I mean? Those like little moments like that.
Nice. No, that's a great answer. You have a song called Girls Don't Lie. Mm-hmm. Are you a good liar?
Gosh, you want to know what? Sometimes, like when I have to like the other day, I fake cried to my sister and my mom, and they totally thought that I was like crying and upset, but I wasn't. I was just being dramatic. And like in those moments when I'm being dramatic, I'm good at like lying. But like when it's something dead ass serious, I feel like I'm not good at lying.
Are they going to be shocked if they accidentally hear that on this podcast?
Probably. I just gave myself away.
It's okay. It's okay. Just don't share it with them. Okay. And then you have a song called Me. What would you say is the biggest difference between the me when you wrote that song and the me now?
I don't know. I feel like I'm the same. Even my hair is almost the same. Oh my gosh. Maybe like I do my makeup a little bit better. My clothes are a little better. My nails are better. I love my new nail girl. Like, my daughter's doing good. She's healthy. I own my house. Maybe that is the only difference. Because otherwise, I feel like the spirit of that bitch is like still there, you know?
So that's the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun. I definitely want to like come back. Maybe after like this next round of songs.
Thank you so much. Like you are such an icon, such an inspiration. This actually really means a lot to me. So I really appreciate this.
But yeah, next time definitely maybe me and Michael can do it and like talk shit. That'd be fun.
I would love that.
Once we have our song together.
Once you have a whole EP of songs. Totally. We'll get Calais on here. We'll just honestly, we'll all be drinking. Like, you know, we'll all get like a little like wine or something. It gets wild recording a podcast when drunk though, I gotta say.
I've never done it, but I'm so down. I bet you it'd be so fun. Let's do it. All right. I will. I'm down.
Also, a shout out to my boy Noah for this theme music. And also, it would mean the world if you could take the time to rate and review this show on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on right now. I can see y'all streaming us like crazy every week, but I'd really love to know your thoughts and who you'd like to see on future episodes. Until next time, I'm AJ signing off.